Welcome back. Now, Israel is due to be included on a UN list of shame of countries and armed forces failing to protect children in conflicts. Now, the decision was welcomed by global rights groups Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch, with Amnesty Secretary General Agnes Callamard saying the decision was long overdue. Out of the 37,000 Palestinians that have been killed during the genocide in Gaza, 60% of it has been children. Joining us now, I'd like to welcome Khaled Quzmar, who is the General Director for Defense of Palestinian Children. Khaled, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Always a pleasure having you on.
Thank you very much. Welcome.
It's an absolute pleasure. Khaled, explain to us this blacklisting or list of shame for those who maybe don't understand. Many countries, of course, have been included in this. Talk to us about, obviously, Israel's inclusion in this and what this list actually details.
Yeah, according to the UN Security Council Resolution 1612, the special representative of the Secretary General of the United Nations must take care of the children in the armed conflict areas. And each year, they publish a report about the situation of the children in the certain countries. And unfortunately, since more than 15 years, every year Israel managed to make it, to do what they would like to do. They killed, maiming children, they violate the children's rights, but at the end they've been protected by the US and the other Eastern states. So in 2014, we tried also to put all our efforts with all the human rights organizations around the world after the killing of more than 555 children in Gaza, in the war in Gaza. Even that, they do kind of compromise and bargaining, political interest, and then Israel also managed to pass without listing. This year, after the killing of more than 15,000 Palestinian children in Gaza, I think there is no way for the Secretary General of the United Nations except to list Israel army as a state and as army who is killing children. So for us, too late is better than nothing. And of course, according to listing Israel in the shame list as Israeli army who is killing children. So now what we expect is from states, those who are supporting Israel with more and more arms to continue their crimes, to continue the genocide in Gaza and the crimes against humanity in the West Bank, they must be held accountable for providing Israel with all the support to continue these crimes. So for us, very important decision in addition to the South African action to the ICJ, the case in the ICJ. And now another step is to criminalize the Israeli army that for committing the war crimes and targeting children and killing more than 16,000 children being killed since the 7th of October until now.
Yeah, of course, that revised number sitting at 16,000. Khaled, I'm going to touch on the ICJ and the ICC case, or the pending ICC case. Let's talk of, infrastructure that cater for children, for example, refugee camps and schools. Israel has bombed it, and they've said that, quote unquote, it's a hideout for Hamas, which is yet to be proven. But how much of the bombing of these facilities adds to this blacklist of Israel, especially in infrastructure where it's supposed to be a safe haven for children since the Nakba of 1948?
Yes, Israel in the West Bank and in Gaza, they never deal with the refugee camps as a protected area. They raided and they used to raid these places every day, every night, regardless the life of the civilians, in particular children. So schools in daily basis, they used to be targeted by the Israeli army, get in the schools, shooting bullets, shooting tear gas inside the schools, sometimes get in the classes and arrested children from the schools. So this is on regular basis happened in the West Bank. In Gaza, the thing is more worse because the schools become during the war since the aggression, the Israeli genocide since the 7th of October, they became like shelters for the civilians. The Israeli army also raided these shelters and they arrested children from the age of 14 up to 60 years old, and they humiliated them, they necked them, and they took them to prisons. And of course, many schools, more than, according to the Palestinian Ministry of Education, more than 350 schools being bombed by the Israeli, and of course, more than 36,000 Palestinian civilians killed during the bombing of the schools and the houses. So, according to the Secretary General of the United Nations, said that Gaza become the graveyard for the children, and of course, no safe place in Gaza, no schools, no houses. So Israel committed in a systematic way all the rights of the children that listed in the Child Rights Convention.
How much does this add to, obviously, South Africa's ICJ case? You mentioned that now that, the last communique from the ICJ, which was over 3 weeks ago, that Israel must do all they can to protect civilian life, which, of course, when we saw this past weekend, they failed to do so. Then you've got the pending ICC arrest warrants for Netanyahu and Yoav Gallant. And now you've got this UN blacklist against Israel. How much does this strengthen the cases of the ICC and the ICJ in really holding Israel accountable for what they're doing right now in Gaza?
I think let's start from the ICJ case, the South African case and the ICJ. I believe that South Africa managed to prove in a legal basis that Israel is committing a crime of genocide. They gave 3 opportunities to the Israeli army to take special measures in order to ensure that there is no genocide there and there is a protection for the civilians. Israel not unable to do that. Israel is unwilling to stop there. Israel is went ahead for committing the genocide. Now a genocide is recognized everywhere that Israel is committing genocide because the ICJ warned them, but they continue their war against it. So this is a very important step taken against Israel. And then the ICJ, the ICC prosecutor, who must do the work before even the ICJ, but he took the decision to ask the court to issue a warrant of arrest against the Israeli defense minister and the Israeli prime minister. And I believe that there was kind of bargaining. They must list not only those 2, all those who are responsible of the killing of the 36,000 Palestinians in Gaza and the damage the Gaza buildings. And then now there is another action also, which is started initiatives from the universities and everywhere. The people everywhere are talking about that, and then reflected also in the position of the 3 states in Europe to recognize the state of Palestine as a reaction of what Israeli are doing against. So I believe that we are in a better place now to go ahead for holding the criminals in Israel accountable for these crimes, and also to expand it to hold accountable those who are complicit with the crime of genocide in Gaza by supporting Israel with more arms and political support, like what the US are doing, and the UK and Germany and others. Today we have the case. I inform you that today we have the case against Biden administration for the complicity of the crime in Gaza. So the court decided to reject the case because of the jurisdiction issue. We appealed today. The court in San Francisco the appeal court will deal with the case in against Biden.
Khalid, as always, shukran so much for joining us. Much appreciated. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. Thank you very
That's
much.
Khaled Quzmar from the Children for International in Palestine, of course, just talking to us about that blacklisting of Israel for not protecting children during times of war and conflict. Well, that's all we have for you here from Talking Point. We'll see you again, same time, same place tomorrow. From myself, Ross Patel, and the rest of the team in Johannesburg. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.